talking about the evidence is mounting. What evidence, Carrie? Please don't become a detective. What evidence? Like, that does not even make a lick bit of sense. Like, it does not make any sense. Carrie is too much. And like, all the while, Mr. Big is completely oblivious of any of this. Like, hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will not be giving you the video you asked me for. 8 times out of 10, whenever you guys request something, I typically try to cover it. And I was done with it just like that, but y'all were kind of like, yeah, we want you to continue. So I was like, I don't know why anybody's interested in this, but I'll try. Y'all, I couldn't make it through. I could not make it through the episode. At this point for me, and just like that, it's not fun bad, it's not comical bad, it's just insufferable bad to me at this point. But I do have a little treat for you guys. As you can tell by the title of this video, I will be going back again because I started to go back and relive Sex and the City. So if you check out my Sex and the City playlist, you will see that I have already covered episodes 1 through 5 of the first season. So in this video, we will be covering episode 6 of season 1, Secret Sex. I also went back and was doing Breaking Bad. Y'all, I be getting sidetracked, child, but I'm gonna go back with everything that I was doing and we gonna just continue. Now, if you discovered my channel from and just like that, well, hopefully you have been sticking around for other content besides that. And if not, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm done, and just like that is over. It is dead in the water. It is deader than Shay's comedic career. So let's get right into it. Let's move on to bigger and better things and leave and just like that in a damn dust, child, in a dumpster where it belongs. Now we are going to go back and relive episode 6. Now in episode 6, we see Carrie taking promotional pictures for her column in the infamous naked dress. And honestly, I always say I'm not like the high fashion girls, but this dress is kind of generic to me. Like, yes, it's a flesh colored nude dress, but it's not really that fly. Like, is it just me? But anyway, y'all, so she's having these pictures taken. They are supposed to run on the side of a bus. And then we jump to a scene of Carrie at her apartment getting ready for her first date with Big. And Carrie be taking shots at her friends in these voiceovers, child, because Carrie is like, oh, since they don't have any social life of their own, they're here living vicariously through me, getting ready for my date. Now, as we know from the series, child, Miranda might not have much of a social life, but we know Samantha has a social life. But it's just so funny to me, the voiceovers Carrie does talking about her friends. But Carrie comes out in her dress to show everybody for her date. And that's when they get into a conversation about sex on the first date. And I think it is Charlotte who coins the dress, the naked dress. And Miranda calls it tits on toast. Great line. And Carrie is pretty much like, no, I'm not going to sleep with them. I'm just going to, look like sex. I'm the trailer. That's what I miss. Is Carrie's little like funny little quips. All of them really will have like cute little one-liners that were pretty snappy, but they get into a conversation where Samantha is like, well, a guy can just as easily dump you on the first date as the 10th date. And Miranda's kind of like, when the hell did you ever make it to a 10th date? Like, shots fired, Jesus. It's so funny when I watch like friendships on TV. They really be taking shots at each other. Like, I don't take shots at my friends in real life, and I wish the hell they would take shots at me. No. But, well, my family does. That don't count. I'm talking about friendships. So Carrie ends up going outside after the conversation, and she does her little breaking the fourth wall, talking to the audience, which they got rid of, and a lot of people seem to be on board. I don't have no problem with her talking to the audience. I don't know why that bothered people so much, and people were so happy when the show stopped doing that, but it doesn't bother me. And actually, I miss a lot of the stuff that people were glad they got rid of. I actually miss. Like, I liked when she would interview her little random dumbass friends, like the men and stuff that we just never heard from again. And I like when she talked to the audience. I don't know, it was a little kooky. Like, it was just kind of entertaining to me. But we really get the distinct personalities of each girl solidified whenever they have these little relationship conversations. And really, it's kind of a melting pot that's supposed to represent the different types of women. But it is very funny how Charlotte always is the one with the rules. Like in this conversation, she's like, oh no, you can't have sex with a guy until like the 5th date. And the number of dates to make a guy wait has gone up because it's in direct correlation with your age. Like, who the hell ever knows what Charlotte is talking about? But Charlotte has a lot of trysts throughout the series. Did anybody ever catch that? Like, she's always talking about these rules. She was always the kind of dipsy, wanting the fairy tale girl, thinking that, oh, if I be a good girl and I follow XYZ rules, then someone will choose me and I'll be a wife, even though hoes get wifed up every day. And I don't slut shame, but you know, I'm using that word because of what point I'm making. But there are really no rules, quote unquote, that you have to follow. But if you pay attention, Sex and the City takes all of those rules and they break them. For example, the sex on the first date rule was broken with Big and Carrie, but also the one night stand date was broken with Miranda and Steve. That ended up actually turning into something. And there were quite a few other ones, but they're just not coming to my memory right now. But as Carrie is in the hall talking to us, she's like, I am dying to have sex with this guy, but isn't delayed gratification the marker of maturity? But she actually isn't mature because they do end up sleeping with each other. So it wasn't delayed gratification. So, okay, Carrie. Now, Carrie ends up walking downstairs. Mr. Big is standing outside of his little private car because, you know, he's rich. And Mr. Big is like, interesting dress, meaning interesting dress. Carrie is always going so overboard. Like, he just said interesting dress and she's like blowing it up. Well, about to, like, meaning like it meant what he said. So they get into the car and Big is like, oh, don't worry, I'm perfectly capable of restraining myself. Oh, me too. And of course they jump all over each other. And then we cut to them on the floor in Big's bedroom. And Carrie's like, I can't be hounded by rules. I go with my emotions. A lot of great love stories started with sex on the first date. I bet. And y'all, the line that I literally say all the time, like I am constantly just referencing stuff. And the line that I love to say is, I will not be the first to speak. If I never hear from him again, I will remember him fondly as an asshole. I don't necessarily say that I won't be the first to speak part, but I literally am always saying, I will remember him fondly as an asshole. I love that line so freaking much. So she ends up like laying there literally saying, I will not be the first to speak. And what y'all think Carrie, psychotic Bradshaw, does? She is the first to speak. Yo, Carrie is so neurotic and I love it. So not only is she the first to speak, but she puts the man like on blast, asking him like, can you believe we did that on the first date? I didn't plan that, you know. What do you think? What you want the man to say? So Big is just like, well, I thought it was pretty freaking great, but what do I know? Hey, you want to go get some Szechuan? So Carrie and her paranoia, as she says in an episode, is mulling over in her head. Hey, we broke the sex on the first date curse. Has he discovered my weakness for great sex and Chinese food? Or is taking me out to eat just a diversion so I don't spend the night? Like, Carrie, why are you devolving, like spiraling like this? But before she can completely spiral down her neurotic black hole, she sees her good friend Mike. She's like, we've known each other for 10 years and we've never had sex because we want to know each other for another 10. But apparently y'all don't end up knowing each other for another 10 because we literally never hear of this guy ever again. So So Mike is out to dinner with this girl, Libby, who he just talks to Carrie like Libby ain't even there. And this was always funny to me. Libby is supposed to be unattractive. Libby looked like a pretty girl to me. Like, am I tripping? That was always so funny to me, especially during this time period, child, when you watch shows and somebody was supposed to be fat, a woman was supposed to be fat, or a woman was supposed to be ugly. It'd be like, she ain't even fat. She ain't even ugly. But that tells you, you know, the times we was in back then, child. Now, Carrie also ended up putting her friend Mike on blast when he's like telling her she looks great. Oh, not too naked? Girl, what do you want him to say? Like, what if he said, yeah, you look way too naked? What you gonna do then, Carrie? But he's just like, oh, no, naked enough. And when Carrie is trying to interact with Libby, whose name we don't know at the moment, because, you know, he doesn't, like, introduce them, the young lady is talking, and he, like, cuts her off, just like, oh, yeah, I'll catch up with you later. And then we see the same night Miranda is at kickboxing class, and she accidentally kicks her partner in the head, and he ends up asking her out on a date. And the next day when her and Carrie are talking, they are going over the whole situation with this guy, Ted Baker, who they have to give us the rundown, and he's in sports medicine, and he owns this brownstone. He has this, you know, they got to give you the rundown that he is a bachelor with a lot of money. And Miranda says that by the time she got home, he left her a message, and something must be wrong. That kick in the head scrambled his brain, child, because why would he want Miranda? When I tell you Miranda was always the character that I identified with the most, I am a Miranda. Like, I am that character. Cynical, logical, very realistic. And I feel like I'm a Miranda because Miranda is like the one who, you know, the other girls are very just, high class, perfect girls that do all the right things and say all the right things, and all the guys want, you know, the other girls. It's always the running joke in Sex and the City that Miranda is the one who goes through all the droughts and can't find a guy and all this other stuff. Like, I hate to put it this way, but she's like the loser of the group. Lord Jesus. I'm not saying I'm the loser of my friend group, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm more so the one that's like more tomboyish, more like saying all the wrong things and very awkward around men. So I just always felt like I was a Miranda. And even her being like, oh, he must have got kicked in the head. Like, his brain is scrambled and that kick was too hard. But, oh, shoot. As they are talking and Miranda's like, oh, this is much too fast. Child, Carrie's like, oh, too fast as in sleeping on the first date? You guys were excited. You went for it. No, it wasn't me. The dress had a mind of its own. Because, you know, Carrie got to put it on something. Oh, it couldn't have been Carrie. It was the dress, child. So she ends up, Carrie, going to finally see Mike, right? And he's giving her the rundown on Libby. Y'all, Libby is just a very pretty, to me, working class, regular woman. But Mike is completely embarrassed to be seen with her because she is not the ideal type that he would like to be around. And I feel like when I was younger and I used to watch this show, I always thought it was so unrealistic. Like, this is all the stuff you don't do when dating. But sometimes they hit realism. And I think this is a pretty realistic little storyline they have going where, you know, a guy wants a woman on his arm that he feels is like a prize, or, you know, is of a certain status that will make him look good. So Mike is an idiot. And he ain't that attractive himself, but I mean, so this was all just so completely ridiculous. But you know what? It's okay, Mike, because you gonna get your comeuppance in the end. So Mike is going on about how he felt no pressure and he felt so relaxed and everything is just so perfect and great. But when Carrie is like, well, what's the problem? She's not beautiful. It always be men who ain't very, you know, beautiful themselves that be going in and have the highest standard for how a woman looks. But you know, what else is new? And Carrie is sitting here like, oh, I pondered for days whether Mike was shallow or honest. Babe, he's being honest about being shallow. Like, that is not a question to ponder for days. It tripped me out when people are like, well, at least I'm honest. No, you're a jerk. No, you're shallow. Like, just because you're being honest, that doesn't negate the other terrible trait that you are displaying right now. It always bugged me. I'm finna get sidetracked. But it always irked my nerves so bad. I was young as hell. How old was I when Usher Confessions came out? I don't know. I feel like I was a teenager. But even back then, it used to irk my nerves. I could not even enjoy that Confessions song because when Usher is like, if y'all not familiar, in the song, Usher confesses to his girlfriend that he cheated on her and got another girl pregnant. And he ends up in a song saying, well, you know, at least I'm man enough to be honest and tell you this. What? Are you crazy? How about be man enough to not cheat and get another girl pregnant? Like, that just always irked my nerves. And I cannot stand for people to be like, well, at least I'm being honest. F you and your honesty. Like, just because you honest, that don't mean I gotta be happy about the information you giving me. Like, that don't make it okay. Oh, I can't stand it. But, okay, sorry. I got sidetracked. So, we end up seeing Carrie at her apartment with Samantha. And I can't even hardly talk because I just love Samantha so much. Because this was so funny. Carrie is talking about, you know, she's always going to her friends with her questions for her article that week. And she's like, how many of us are having great sex with people that we are ashamed or embarrassed to introduce our friends to? Child, when I tell you Samantha goes down a little list of, hey, did I ever tell you about the window washer or the guy who lived with his mom? And Carrie is like, yeah, I know about all of them. Well, that just means I'm not ashamed of anybody I've had sex with. So we are hanging up Carrie's picture of herself for her column promo in her apartment. And I would say that this is a bit so-centered and over the top, but I'm the type of person that would hang my promotional picture smack dab in my living room. So, hey, I can't speak on that. So, Kim Cattrall, the greatest. I miss seeing her. But Samantha is like talking this, whole thing up because Carrie's like, you don't think, this is too much. I look naked. No, you look fabulous. How about we do this big thing? We get everybody together, watch your bus come by, invite Big. And then Carrie is like, I haven't heard from him since we spent the night. I'll forget him. This is the greatest personal ad I've ever seen. Every guy will be drooling over you. And I'm sitting here like, baby, I love Samantha because she go from, hey, invite Big to F him. This is the greatest personal ad and men are going to be drooling over. Samantha is just going to support whatever the current agenda is that will best help her friend at the moment. But can I just say that it irked my nerves so bad in this scene because they are hanging the poster, right? And Samantha's on one side, Carrie's on the other side hanging the poster. They both like tack up the poster. But on Samantha's side, the bottom of the poster is not tacked down. It's like sticking up off the wall. The camera pans to them. We cannot see the poster anymore. They're talking. The camera pans back to where we can see the poster and suddenly it's tacked down. But nobody tacked it down. That irked my nerves so bad. That irked my nerves. I'm sorry. It reminds me of those old horror movies when a girl is wearing high heels and running and then all of a sudden you see she wearing like white sneakers. Like, come on, baby. Let's be consistency. Now, as Samantha and Carrie are having this conversation about secret sex, Samantha ends up being like, hey, did you ever hear about that guy that Charlotte hooked up with? So they go up to her job, child. Like, who go up to their friend's job to ask them about somebody they had sex with? Only the girls have sex in the city. So, come to find out, Charlotte had a little tryst. I told y'all, Charlotte be having her little tryst with this. I think they say he was a Hasidic Jew. And she was intoxicated by his strangeness, the smell of his wool, and all this craziness. But for some reason, I don't get this whole scene. Maybe because I don't know what the heck Episcopalian is. They're like, daddy's little Episcopalian princess in the arms of one of God's chosen people. Y'all, what is Episcopalian? I know Baptist, I know Catholic, I know Jewish, I know Buddhist. I don't know what the heck Episcopalian is. Like, what is that? So maybe that's why this scene, like, just doesn't work for me. I just don't get it. But Charlotte is saying how they would talk about art and sex and everything was great, but she never introduced him or took him around her friends because she was embarrassed. They couldn't really date each other. He couldn't date her. And she tells Carrie, now you cannot put this in your column, promise. Carrie's like, oh, I promise. Obviously, like, she sound like she lying, child. She put all her friends' business in the damn column. They should have been getting a percentage of that book she ended up doing, putting all her columns together, child. Now, of course, after Charlotte tells Carrie, don't put this in your column, we quickly cut to Carrie typing up her column, child, probably putting it in there. And Carrie is pondering away about his secret sex, the purest form of intimacy because it's free from any judgment, or is it just a way we compartmentalize and ignore our true feelings, yada, yada, yada. Y'all know how she does. And then she gets a call from Mr. Big, who she pretends she don't recognize his voice. Carrie, you know who voice this is, girl. Why are you playing? So he ends up being like, we should go do a real movie. I can't stop. Not a real movie. We should go do a real date. I can't stop thinking about you. And Carrie is like, yes, I beat the sex on the first date curse. So they end up like walking down the street. Carrie looks like a bum. I do not get what she is dressed in this scene. But they end up walking down the street. Carrie is trying to invite him to the little thing with her friends to watch her bus go by when someone comes by who knows Mr. Big, and Big doesn't introduce her. And when she's like, who was that? Oh, just some guy skied with an Aspen. Now, instead of Carrie being an adult person and just asking him a question and facing stuff head on, she spirals. Y'all know that's what Carrie does. So she's like, did I just suddenly become the invisible woman? I try not to let it bother me. She tried not to let something bother her that is currently bothering her. But then he took me to that same restaurant. And I looked around and the room smelled like a cheap date. Carrie, what are you talking about? Like, oh my God. Carrie is the queen of making like a mountain out of a molehill. Like, she will blow ish out of proportion like crazy. So she ends up like telling Mr. Big, I'm on a deadline, I gotta go. And she gets home and calls Mike like, hey, out of all the restaurants in Manhattan, why did you take Libby there? Oh, you know, this is the type of great place I can take her that we won't run into anyone. It's obscure. So this is the kind of place that men take women they don't want to be seen with? Child, she talking about the evidence is mounting. What evidence, Carrie? Please don't become a detective. What evidence? Like, that does not even make a lick a bit of sense. Like, it does not make any sense. Carrie is too much. And like all the while, Mr. Big is completely oblivious of any of this. Like, girl, I would have just said, who was that? Oh, some guy skied went and asked me, how come you didn't introduce us? Like, that's so easy to just ask head on. And it's so easy to say, how about we go to another restaurant? How come we keep going to that one? You don't want to try something else? Like, instead of just, oh, the evidence is mounting. Like, what the hell are you talking about, Carrie? I'm so thankful that from a very young age, my mother worked on me like talking and expressing myself. We worked on communication. My mom used to buy me these like books for kids and books for teenagers where it had little like exercises in it where you had to like express your feelings. Child, I am the queen of expressing myself. Like, I'm not finna just be walking around spiraling. I mean, like, I am gonna spiral, but I'm gonna spiral with information. Like, I'm not gonna spiral just filling in the blanks for myself and making stuff up. That is exactly what Carrie does. She just fills in the blanks on her own and projects things onto the other person. It is very comical to watch. Yeah, now let's get to the love of my life, Miranda. She is having amazing time with Ted. They spend a wonderful night together. They're at his place, and he has an early morning flight to catch to DC for some spinal conference. And he tells her, don't worry about going home. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. Stay the night. Well, she already stayed the night. Stay, the morning. We could do something when I get back tonight. Everything is great. Child, when the man leaves, why does Miranda ransack his apartment going through his things? Child, I'll beat somebody down. I wish the hell you would. Do not go through my stuff. Oh my God. Y'all, such a violation. It is so crazy how nothing is ever an issue unless it's like an issue for the women or like this little group. How is this not like terrible? How is this not okay? How do you not tell your friend this isn't okay? Not only does she go through his thing, she steals something. What the? Child, my friends might go through a guy's cell phone or something like that, which is still a violation. But going through someone's personal things in their home and stealing something out of their house is psychotic. She finds this tape about spanking men and takes it to Carrie, and they watch it together. And she's like, I can't see this guy anymore after this. Why? What the hell? Ain't y'all supposed to be like the sexually liberated crew that accepts everybody? They really ain't, and they really don't, child. Nobody but Samantha. Like, first of all, that's his private little collection business. He did not ask you to spank him. So who cares? Second of all, what people watch may not be what they necessarily want to do in real life. And like Carrie says, maybe it's just his fantasy life. Like, it is a big difference. But Miranda is just going on about how she can't be with the guy no more. And Carrie is like, well, how could you know him till you spank him? Okay, Carrie, I see what you did there, child. So then we end up, as Miranda is contemplating leaving the guy for his private collection that she ain't even supposed to know about, child. And it ain't like you found a secret lover. Like, it's a damn VHS tape, girl. So then we end up seeing Charlotte, Samantha, and Carrie with their party hats on and a bottle of champagne standing on the New York street corner waiting for Carrie Bus to come by, child. And Samantha's like, where's Big? Oh, he had a work thing. Oh, Carrie, I told you shouldn't have slept with him on a first date, because then the relationship would be nothing but sex. And Carrie voiceover is like, I didn't want to admit she was right. So then we see her other friend, Mark, come over. She's like, where's Libby? Well, this idiot, shallow man, decides to finally ask this beautiful woman, regular woman with a regular 9-to-5 job, finally asks her out in public, and she declines because she's like, I met somebody else who doesn't have your psychotic issues. So Carrie's bus finally comes by, and someone has drawn graffiti on it that is very demeaning for Carrie, and she's upset. And this is what I mean by Samantha. Samantha is going to support wherever the wind blows for her friend at the moment. Samantha was bigging up this bus, and how it's the best free advertisement. So now Samantha is like, oh, sweetie, nobody notices a bus in New York unless they're about to get hit with one. So freaking ridiculous. Like, you were bigging up the bus, and now you're like, oh, ain't nobody even gonna notice it. I thought you said everybody and their mama was gonna notice it and be drooling over her. Now we end up seeing Miranda and Ted, and they are having another wonderful evening. Everything is going great, and they're walking down the street after leaving the restaurant, and Ted is like, he misses her. He likes Miranda. Everything going good. Maybe all this time, all he needed was a good kick in the head. Oh, I thought all you needed was a good spanking. The man looks mortified. He's like, what? And Miranda is so damn oblivious. She's smiling and repeats herself. And he's walking like ahead of her. And Miranda's like, And the man never returns her calls again. She never sees him at the gym. He never talks to her again. Girl, probably because you went through his things and stole something out of his house and violated his privacy. Like, are you crazy? Let somebody that Carrie or Miranda is dating ransack their apartment when they're courteous enough to let you stay and not have to get up early and leave out at 6 a.m. and steal something. That was so psychotic. Miranda, come on, baby. So I just imagine all the girl talking stuff that the girls have about the guys. I just can imagine what these men be saying about them. Like, this bitch went through my things. Like, who does, like, for real, who does that? I mean, somebody probably do it, but they crazy. So then we see Carrie, fully neurotic, fully psychotic. She hopped up on champagne. She goes to Mr. Biggs to say goodbye. Girl, you did not come over here to damn say goodbye. So Mr. Big opens the door and Carrie is like, if you're ashamed to be with me in any way, we're done. And then she barges inside his apartment. And if I was Mr. Big, I would be so confused. Like, what the fuck you talking about? And he is confused. And Carrie is like, you have me in this little niche, certain places, certain events. You won't introduce me to your friends. You take me to that same restaurant. Carrie, what are you talking about? It's like, you just have me in this particular, fragment of things. Well, I've only gotten to know a particular fragment of you, but I'm getting to know more. Oh, no, this isn't me. Oh, no, Carrie, this is you. This is you to a T. This is me reacting to your projection of who I am. No, Carrie, actually, you're making a projection of who he is and the decisions he's making. Y'all, Big is like, I took you to that restaurant because I love that food. It's like the best Chinese food in the city. I really enjoyed the restaurant. I didn't come out to your event tonight because I had courtside neck tickets and I couldn't remember that guy's name. So maybe I got early Alzheimer's. And so, yeah, that's that. Like, girl, like I said, if you would have just asked questions, you would have gotten the answers and you wouldn't have had to spiral and act completely insane. Y'all, Big and Carrie both toxic. I mean, they just both are. And I don't even know how Big continued, because I would have ran for the hills just like Ted did from Miranda. Like, I'm getting out of Dodge City. Do not show up to my door acting like a mad woman and rambling on when I don't even know what the hell you talking about. Like, girl, hold on now. So all of a sudden, Carrie is like, so you and me, this is for real? Girl, what are you talking about? Y'all, how long they been dating? Like, what is she even, the whole, like, now she not spiraling and flipping out on him, but you and me, this is for real? Girl, what are you talking about? Like, what are you even talking about? But this was a fun episode. I love this episode. I love all these early seasons. If you are interested in continuing along with me to relive the amazing, fun, psychotic, ridiculous, unrealistic tales of Sex in the City, make sure you are subscribed. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for always supporting the content.